I'm going to say welcome everyone to our Fremont for Everyone Leadership Team Candidate Forum. I am Linda Giuliani, and I have been a part of Fremont for Everyone in its most informal form through to now. And I'm very pleased to be able to be a part of this, this event. I'm going to ask everybody who is not a candidate to please turn off your video so that we can make sure we get the highest quality video we can get on this kind of platform. And also please mute yourself. We don't want to not hear it very much background noise unless it's someone offering, free food or something, then you can hear that. So the first thing I want to do is give you a little bit of brief history of Fremont for Everyone. Our current vision statement is Fremont for Everyone advocates for inclusive, affordable housing for our residents and ensures Fremont a welcoming of new neighbors while remaining a wonderful community for living closer to work, raising a family, and aging in place, a home for everyone. We started in the summer of 2019, a group of concerned citizens, faith leaders, and local leaders united to support in the approval of a housing navigation center despite overwhelming neighborhood opposition. Since that time, we have held visioning seminars, which led to a coalition with the California YIMBY and a widened focus to include the broader issue of housing equity. Bi-weekly unhoused feeding events at Niles Discovery Church, and advocacy training, housing legislation reviews, and community building events. During COVID, we switched to all virtual. We did hold a series of Zoom-based candidate debates. We had a series of Zooms on eviction moratoriums, and we began advocating for safe parking. In the spring and summer, we focused advocacy efforts on safe parking, and which culminated in approval by the City Council of the Safe Parking Host Sites Ordinance. Then starting in this summer, we began the process of formulating and then ratifying a set of organizational bylaws to make us even more solid through an involved community process. And now here we are about to build on our leadership team by having elections. So again, welcome everyone. The first thing we're going to do is start with some pre-written questions. All the candidates have been sent these questions, so they had some time to formulate. Everyone will have 2 minutes to speak, and we're going to use a serpentine method, starting with one person and then going alphabetically to the next person all the way through to the end, and then the last person to speak gets to be the first person to speak on the next question. So I have my fishbowl with names, and I'm going to draw the name of the person who gets to start, and that is Vinita Verma. So Vinita, you get to start with the first question. So you can unmute yourself. And the first question is, please introduce yourself and then answer this question. What has been your experience with housing advocacy in general and specifically with Fremont for Everyone? I will start the timer and give you 2 minutes, and I will let you know when you reach 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and then to stop. Okay, Vinita, are you unmuted?
Yes.
All right, and go ahead and begin.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to come and speak over here. As some of you know, my name is Vinita Verma. I'm long-time resident of Fremont. I had been past president of Fremont. Sorry, I am past president of Fremont Council PTA, and along with I'd been past president of other schools in Fremont too. I'm currently serving as a health advocate at California State PTA, along with many other positions at California State PTA level. I think Fremont for Everyone has done an amazing job in the short history that it has, and I had been fortunate enough to be part of it. I got an opportunity to speak in front of City Council on two major occasions. First time when we were talking about Homeless Navigation Center. That was something, it was a different experience to talk in front of City Council when I had only 30 or 45 seconds to speak, to give my support. We had only 5 candidates, 5 people who went and spoke including some of us on this forum. The second occasion that I spoke was, I told them boulders don't belong on roads, they belong on mountains. So that was another thing. I also had been working for homeless and less fortunate kids in school district. Thank you, Linda. In school district, advocating for free lunches when we closed down the school district urgently in March, and giving them supplies for school. Thank you.
I have to figure out how to make it stop. There we go. Sorry about that. All right, thank you, Vinita. All right, the next person speaking in alphabetical order after Vinita is Paul Webster. So Paul, please unmute yourself.
Hello, I'm Paul Webster. My pronouns are he, him, and I've been advocating for housing policies the same since the Navigation Center. And actually, interesting enough, that's like where I got involved with Fremont for Everyone. I met a lot of people from Fremont where everyone had like similar mindsets, and very important to advocate for this type of stuff. There's been a couple other times where I've advocated for housing in different ways. For example, like there's a couple of meetings I went to for reallocation of police funds, and police funds could be reallocated towards like housing and like other issues. So there was a couple protests and also city council meetings I went to for that. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Hey, brevity is great. Okay, so now I'm going to cancel that one. Okay, and next is David Bonacorsey.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody that's here as fellow candidates stepping up for leadership in Fremont for Everyone. My name is David Bonacorsey. I'm a lifelong resident of Fremont, and I've been honored to have been 10 years on the Planning Commission and 2 on the City Council, being an advocate for housing in that capacity, and in particular pushing for a more expansive definition of what is considered affordable housing around transit. When I was on the Planning Commission, even that got recommended to council and was adopted. And in July of 2018, really trying to make affordable housing a priority for our city, including the concept of having safe parking, which we've been fighting for. My involvement for Fremont for Everyone has been from its inception with pushing for the Housing Navigation Center. We came together in collaboration, and many of us that are asking to be leaders were part of that effort in collaboration. And we were really pleased with that successful result. And I was honored to, as an ad hoc way, advocate for the HNC on KPFA radio days before the council unanimously selected the site. Since we formed Fremont for Everyone, along with Hayes and Lisa, Danz, we've been part of the leadership team meeting weekly to try to develop our organization, and really proud of the effort that they have done in having our bylaws adopted, and moderated some of those debates during COVID. So Linda, thank you this evening for moderating this event. And I'm going to be brief and yield my 30 seconds and listen to other people. But thank you, and look forward to your support, I hope. Thank you.
All right, thank you, David. Okay, next is Lisa. Lisa Danz.
Hi, thank you. My name's Lisa Danz. I live in Fremont in the Sundale neighborhood near the Fremont Hub, and I'm a renter. And I moved to Fremont in 2018, but I've lived in the Bay Area most of my life, including growing up here. And I got involved with Fremont for Everyone during the Housing Navigation Center fight, same as many of you. I had been showing up to city council meetings just to keep myself informed about what was going on in the city. And at one of them, there were all these people speaking against the Housing Navigation Center, and they were bringing these really, frankly, disgusting talking points that were demonizing our unhoused community members. And at some point, I just couldn't sit there and listen any longer and had to get involved, and was happy to find that there was already a structure in place of the people who were supporting it. So that's how I met Fremont for Everyone. And I re-engaged during the safe parking advocacy. And at that point, Hayes reached out to me and checked if I wanted to get more deeply involved. And that's when I started getting involved with the leadership team, where my main roles have been checking the city council meetings to see if there's anything relevant on the agenda, as well as just sort of generic nuts and bolts, sending out emails and announcements type stuff. Aside from that, I have done a little volunteering with Paul's organization, Renegade Feeding, certainly nowhere near as much involved as he has, but that's just one bit of involvement. And I also participated in the California YIMBY Lobby Day, which was a month or two ago, and supporting bills that would allow us to build more housing in the state of California. And that's about it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, after Lisa is Marie. Marie Hughes.
Hi, I'm Marie Hughes. I live in Niles. I got involved with housing advocacy, like many people, through the fight for the Navigation Center. And then as a result of that, I set a personal goal for myself to work to eliminate homelessness in Fremont. And to do that, I've been active with Fremont for Everyone and California YIMBY, going to webinars, signing petitions, sending letters to legislature, and attending city council meetings. Pretty much anything that's been asked of us, including running for the leadership team. I also had a small project to get the regulars at the Clean Start stop at Niles Discovery Church to all get good winter shoes, good shoes before winter came. But that was in the before times. Now we're not allowed to go by there and hang out anymore. And I would say right now I am a homeowner and a renter because I live in the mobile home that I own, but we rent the land. And I'm also a tenant because I have another mobile home that we rent out. So I can kind of experience these issues from many different perspectives.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, next is Annie Karuka.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Annie. I am ironically in transit to another meeting. So hello, I'm going to keep my camera off for the rest of this quick pause. Can you hear me or no?
Yes.
Great. All right, so my name is Annie. I use they them pronouns, and I'm a local organizer here in the Bay Area. I presume many of y'all probably know me, and I've organized for many things, from safe parking to evidence-based public safety, to queer rights, to the Navigation Center, because I think all the injustices are connected. So that means the way to get justice is for all of us to team up and work together. I've been with Fremont for Everyone since the beginning. I was actually the table leader for the Housing Navigation Center. It's many ugly things from members of our community through that. And I also recently organized to turn people out for the safe parking vote at City Council. I was also involved in the nuts and bolts bylaws process, editing the bylaws, giving feedback, making sure that we had 2 meetings about the bylaws, so people could be involved before they just went to a vote. I'm very proud of our bylaws. I think they turned out amazingly well. I've proven that I've been an effective organizer on housing things and safe parking to the Navigation Center and non-housing things too. And I'd love the opportunity to organize again and to help lead this wonderful organization. So I urge all of you to vote for me. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Annie. All right. And next is Catherine Ruby.
Hello, I am very happy to be here. And as said, I am Catherine Ruby. I have lived in the Bay Area for several years, and this is the place I call home. I have noticed a lot of changes over the years, seeing more and more homeless people crop up in places you never saw homeless people. And I was greatly concerned about this, and eventually I became homeless. So this became a very important subject matter for me, and I have been speaking out on this issue since, I guess, spring, summer 2019. and was on Nextdoor, educating people on the realities of homelessness and trying to combat stereotypes and negative talk. And then the Housing Navigation Center became an issue. And this is when I became very involved. I did speak at City Council the night that they were going to vote on this. And I was homeless at the time. So I feel like I kind of brought a face to, a real person who was advocating for this for their sake. I also became members of several other organizations, and I have been outspoken on several social platforms trying to combat stereotypes and negative thinking, and to talk about the realities of homelessness. And I advocate for homeless folks in every way possible. And I was also attending several city council meetings, Alameda County supervisor meetings for eviction moratoriums, the safe parking, and all kinds of things.
Yay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Catherine. Okay, and next is Hayes Scher. Hayes?
Hello, everybody. My name is Hayes Scher. Thank you very much for attending and having us, and you, Linda, for helping us moderate tonight. I'm a father of two. I, like Lisa Danz, I live in the Sundale neighborhood of Fremont. I'm currently a homeowner. And one thing that many of you might not know about me is I'm actually a first-generation immigrant to the United States. And I remember what it was like to come here with basically the clothes on your back. We slept on the ground for the first 6 months while I was here. And even though over time we've developed a little more stability, I do see this issue still persist in our communities where people don't have that same access to opportunity. And that's what got me into housing advocacy. I really believe it's a right and not just a privilege, and that everyone has to be able to support themselves. And so my experience with housing advocacy is that I've been with you all on the Housing Navigation Center. Much like many of you, I didn't know any of this existed, and I was really heartened to find a group of people who were really, thank goodness for now's discovery of kind of spearheading this conversation and really giving us our start, I think. So I've been on leadership for the last 2 years. After that issue was passed by City Council, we decided we needed something more long-term, and this issue isn't going away anytime soon. We need a good group of dedicated advocates there to meet this head on. My role has with Fremont for Everyone has been both technical and organizational, I suppose. On the technical front, I'm an architect, so I did the graphic design. I run the tech support for Zoom meetings and the newsletter and whatnot. And for organizational, I worked with Paul on the feeding events. I try to help transition us from an exclusively unhoused advocacy to a more broader focus of housing equity. I built coalitions with other housing aligned groups and spearheaded, coordinated the bylaws process. So thank you very much and I look forward to working with you guys if given the chance.
Okay, great. Thanks, Hayes. Okay, now the next person to start will be Paul. You get to start question number 2. Question number 2, please describe your vision for Fremont for Everyone as an organization. What goals do you have for our group?
Okay, so I have a simple goal, which is, I should have mentioned this in my introduction, but I'm an organizer of Renegade Feedings. And I have a simple goal of basically bringing Renegade Feedings to Fremont for Everyone and finding ways where I can tie those two together so we can make change happen more frequently in the unhoused community and advocate for housing. I just want to see this community grow, and I want to see my connections grow more tightly. And I was just thinking about before this meeting that I know other people that haven't been connected to Fremont for Everyone that have a huge impact with Fremont. So I would like to, in the future, connect them with y'all. But that's pretty much my goal.
Okay, thank you. Great. All right, next on question number 2 is David Bonacorsey.
Thank you, Linda. I think Fremont for Everyone's mission statement really is the vision for Fremont for Everyone that you read at the beginning. advocating for an inclusive, affordable housing for our residents and ensures Fremont is welcoming of our new neighbors, which takes in the broader concept, even recently with the issue of Afghanistan and the ability to welcome refugees into our community and have a, when I was on council, we became a sanctuary city, which was at the time considered controversial, and we were going to be crime ridden and overridden by undocumented people, and that hasn't happened. It's an attitude, it's an embracing way of envisioning our community, not just for those who have homes, but for those that are unhoused. And I think that we've seen this great tragedy with how people view those that are unhoused as the other, that somehow that they're not entitled to the same dignity and that all of us have had. And Hayes, I was actually moved by your experience. I'm a grandchild of immigrants from Italy, and I know of the discrimination they faced, which is less well known by the broader community because of the assimilation since then. So the overriding goals is advocacy and education. We need to really understand, in order to grow our organization, we need to educate people on the housing shortage that we have and develop coalitions and collaboration to build our advocacy. And I had served on both services as a board vice president on the board for 4 years. And what I found there are a local nonprofit. They've housed over 16,000 people since they formed here in Fremont. But what I found was that, they had to pick and choose their battles. At the statewide level, they'd be a great advocate. But as Hayes knows, being an applicant before council members, you don't want to burn bridges on advocating on every issue. You have to really focus. So there's some space here for Fremont for everyone where we can be honest brokers, advocates for unhoused without any asking for anything in return. So those are my goals, hopefully on being on Fremont for everyone. So thank you.
Great, thank you. And right now at this time, I'd like to pause for a second and let the people who are viewing on the Zoom meeting, we are going to have a question and answer period at the end. So if you have a question, please put it in the chat, and then we will address those after our last candidate answers the last of the 3 questions. All right, the next person to answer this question is Lisa Danz.
Thanks. So I break this question down into what we want to achieve and how we're going to get there. And for what we want to achieve, I'm thinking long-term, medium-term, and short-term. So the long-term goal, of course, is to end homelessness in our community so that everybody who wants to live here can afford to, and to do so in a way. And I think the means to that end, as well as the vision, would be to have a dense, walkable, bikeable, and transit-oriented city that reduces vehicle miles traveled and allows us to sort of thrive, as well as be fighting climate change with our living setup. The medium-term goal, I think, needs, like, the numeric goal we can go for is to see the number of unhoused community members going down instead of up, because currently that number is going up. So we're doing the opposite of making progress. So I think that would be like a really big milestone if we can start turning that around. And in the short term, of course, and hopefully this is only the short term, because hopefully we really do get everybody housed, but the short term has to be that we need to improve the quality of life for people who are currently experiencing homelessness, which includes the resources that we've been advocating for, that we've already been discussing, like the Housing Navigation Center, safe parking, the great work that Renegade Feedings does, and so forth. And in particular, in the immediate term, we need to be implementing the safe parking prongs 2 and 3. And I hope that we're able to continue putting pressure on City Council to make progress on that and not think that they've checked the box because they did prong 1. As far as the method, I want to see us empowering our volunteers and our members to advocate and be organizers and to work together with each other to build our technical skills. I think we have a great variety of skills among this group, and it'll be really cool if we can share and collectively build our potential. I think an important part of it is empowering and elevating the voices of people who have been or are currently unhoused. And I also think that an important part of this is talking to our neighbors and doing kind of a hearts and minds campaign in the community so that we stop getting the nastiness when this stuff comes up.
Great, thank you so much, Lisa. All right, next is Marie Hughes.
Hi, sorry, I had trouble unmuting. Oh, and getting my video going. So I support the work that Fremont for Everyone is doing right now, working with California to get pro-housing legislation passed, supporting the safe parking program and the Housing Navigation Center. I know that there's some talk of also endorsing candidates, and I definitely support all that. Something I would like us to do more of is more outreach into the community, especially education. I have been talking to people lately online who actually share Fremont for Everyone's values, but they are uneducated on these issues and they believe a lot of strange things about both how housing works and about the homeless. But they are open to learning more. And as I talk to them, they become more supportive. And so I think this energy spent in this area would get more people helping us and working with us. And at a minimum, there would be fewer people fighting us.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. And next is Annie. Annie, are you there? You're muted.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what, Annie? You're breaking up. So let's skip to the next person and I'll come back to you. Okay. Yeah,
Sorry about
Annie.
that. I just got passed a cup of coffee. So
Oh, okay.
right. So
Annie, we can't hear you.
Main priorities I like to think really structurally. 1, re-engage. 2, grow. 1 second.
Annie.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we missed your
Okay.
whole beginning. You missed the whole beginning of whatever you
Okay.
said. Do you want to start over?
What?
You want to start over, or do you want us to go into the next person and come back to you?
Oh, yes. What?
Okay, if you want us
Can you hear
to,
me?
yeah, we can now. No, we can't. Yeah.
if we're having difficulty getting her
Yeah,
statement,
But
audio, can she type it into the comments?
or we can come back to her. Yeah. Hayes, why don't you put her on mute, and we'll go on to the next. We'll go on to Catherine, and then come back to Annie. Okay. So
Okay.
Catherine, go ahead.
So I actually had become familiar with a lot of the red tape and legislation that gets in the way of housing for people. I'm also aware through my own experience, the kinds of things that people go through prior to becoming homeless. And so I feel like part of what we need to do is preserve the housing that people are already in by also helping to educate people who are at risk of homelessness. Because once a person becomes homeless, that house is no longer available at an affordable price. It becomes the apartment or home becomes the value raises. And so that's part of our problem. It's not just building housing, it's preserving the housing we already have. So and it's also more expensive to get people back into housing after becoming homeless than it is to keep them in housing. So that's one of the visions that I have, is to get people to stay in their housing. I also have lots and lots of ideas on how to approach homelessness and get people back into housing. I'm trying to do this at low cost, because nobody wants raised taxes, regardless of how great the cause is, because people know that this stuff gets redistributed in ways that we don't vote for. So I'm trying to approach things through a multi-pronged approach. I feel is much better, because there's no such thing as a one size fits all situation to solve this as a problem. And educating the community on what homelessness is, who the homeless are, and how homelessness happens, I think is really important. Most people don't understand that.
Great. I thank you so much. Okay, I think I think Annie is back. Annie, are
Yeah.
you there? Yay.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. All right, cool. I've got 3 main priorities for this organization. I like to think really, really structurally. 1, re-engage. 2, grow. 3, campaign. What I mean by that is 1, re-engage. We are sitting on a Facebook group of, I believe, 641 members last time I checked. I'd love to re-engage some of those folks through coordinated reaching out, like texts, emails, messenger messages, so we grow our power and grow our base. 2, I'd like to grow our organization and engage new people through things like social media, like Hearts and Minds campaigns, like talking to our neighbors, hopefully doing that in a coordinated fashion, and also running campaigns, which brings me to 3, campaigns. We've seen that our campaigns can win. We won a housing navigation center and we won safe parking. So when we campaign again, we can win again. I want to do more policy related campaigns like that, prongs 2 and 3, especially. We've got prong 1, which is great. And I'd also like to do some new types of campaigns, like organizing renters. That's a campaign I'd like to do, or organizing to address all of the things that cause people to be unhoused in the first place and hopefully prevent homelessness out of the source. So I see lots of different types of campaigns. Also realizing that, yeah, we've got a housing shortage and we need to build more housing, but it's got to be affordable housing. You've tried build market rate, build market rate, build market rate, even more market rate, and it hasn't addressed the housing shortage. People are still unhoused, people still can't afford housing. So I think we need to be smart in our campaign for equitable Fremont, for affordable housing, for renters. So re-engage people, grow, and campaign with me. Those are my three things that I really love to do with Fremont Grow.
Okay, thank you very much. Next is Hayes share.
Thank you, Linda. Those are very, very good visions. I really love listening to everybody's kind of individual ideas. This is really great for our organization. So I'll be brief. I have 4 basic goals. First, this is to expand the membership and find creative ways to engage while keeping us safe during COVID. I think that's been a very wildly difficult endeavor for very many reasons. We have a lot of volunteers who might be immunocompromised, elderly, whatnot, or have children. So I think that my goal is to find a way to creatively engage while respecting everyone's boundaries. The second, I want to continue pushing for safe parking until we get a citywide solution. I don't think the host site thing is going to really do much. It was more token. We're still looking at churches who are actually going to step up, and we continue to speak with the human services director on that, but I am a little bit skeptical about how much of a dent that's actually going to make. Number 3, I want to find a way to reignite our charity work or actual direct service projects, similar to what Paul was mentioning about the unification. Right now, what's tugging on my heart is the Afghan refugees, and not to expand it too much, but I do think that is an unhoused situation that presents an opportunity for us. And finally, I will want to lobby at the state level for both housing production and finance bills. I don't think it could be one or the other. I think both of them have to move forward. Affordable housing is heavily subsidized by public money, and we need to both get the permitting underway, but also bring in the public money to actually do it. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Hayes. And next we have Vinita.
Thank you, Linda. I have to say I'm amazed at everybody's views. I am really, really happy that I'm sitting here with all of you. Your views are very much similar to what my views are. I don't have much to say after that, but I will add to something. So add to what your visions are. So as all of you said, we have to make sure that affordable housing is established as promised. SB 9 and SB 10 is enforced. Educating the community is really essential, because I heard the same things that Catherine and Lisa heard about people who were very much aligned with what we are talking about. They just did not know what navigation system meant. Third thing will be, I will really advocate for another navigation center. I know it's really controversial, but this one I would like to have for families, so the families can stay together when they are going through hardship. We don't want families to break up just because they are going through hardship. Fourth one will be, we probably need to do more for because unhoused community affects the whole community. The fourth thing I will say is that we need to really push to keep the people who are in housing crisis or going through housing crisis or in future housing crisis in next 6 to 10 months or a year. We want to make sure that they are supported and they are encouraged. We give them funding, we do fundraising, we give them resources to stay in house and not become unhoused. So those will be my things.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And now for our third question, what unique skills and knowledge will you bring to the leadership team of Fremont for Everyone? And this time we're going to start with David Bonacorsey.
Thank you. This has been very enjoyable listening to everybody. But the skill, I would have liked the second question to have been the last question, because it brings the focus back to ourselves uniquely. But I will talk biographically. I've been on community boards, working and serving in the organization for over 30 years. So I think an important skill set is, how do you collaborate in a volunteer organization? I've done that with Fremont for Education, Fremont Education Foundation, and I've done that working on bond initiatives with the school district, as well as abode services, and of course with my work for Fremont for Everyone. And what I like about this, I've run for office, I've been in office. That's a zero-sum game. It says, pick me, don't pick the other person. This is an evening where we start saying to everyone that's listening, pick us, pick the best team that we can work together. I'm not going to discount my own background as an attorney. And I've been able to understand the eviction moratoriums, understand legislation, and I believe if in the right situation, articulate positions and help guide the visioning and the messaging for organization. And again, I bring 12 years combined on the Planning Commission, on the City Council, where on the Planning Commission, we updated our general plan. Very few people understand how the general plan works, what's the tension between the state and our local control in terms of addressing our housing needs. And so I have an understanding of public policy on both ends, behind the dais and advocating before the dais. So I think that those are a set of skills that are complementary of the skills and talent that I see all around me. I'm very honored to be among all of these people, all of you this evening that want to volunteer to your time. And I think that what we should be doing is looking outward, galvanizing this energy from within, and really raising our visibility and platform as the premier advocacy organization for unhoused and for our new neighbors in Fremont. So I ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, David. All right, next, Lisa Danz.
Thanks. So first off, since I have been on the Fremont for Everyone leadership team for a few months, I would bring that continuity. I have a bit of leadership experience in other spaces, including with Citizens Climate Lobby. I was a chapter lead for a few years back when I lived in Palo Alto, and I have been and I'm still a lead on the action team that focuses on environmental justice and building connections between our climate advocacy work and local environmental justice groups. I've also, as I think Annie mentioned a while back, I am a software engineer, and I have been a senior technical team member at work, and I didn't have any special leadership titles, but I did function as sort of somebody who had cross-functional conversations and mentored newer members of the team and whatnot. In other organizing, I've worked locally with Engage Fremont, which is another advocacy group in our area and with the Environmental Justice Working Group in East Oakland. So I bring a couple of connections with other organizations. And as you might have guessed by now, I do look at everything through a climate lens. And I think that that is relevant to housing because there's so many intersections between climate and housing. And as a bonus, in case it's useful, I do speak Spanish. So that's all.
Yay, thank you. Excellent. All right, now Marie Hughes.
Thank you. So I have been on many different boards in many different roles, done a lot of organizing starting since I was high school. So I'm not going to list them all. Recently, I was in a group that created the bylaws for Engage Fremont. And I was, prior to having bylaws, in the unofficial board. I've done comms for several groups, including running social media campaigns. And I'm also a software engineer. So I can do technical things. But I would say my superpower is recruiting and organizing volunteers. When I was a social director for my triathlon club. So I had to organize big events for over 100 people, and you can't do that without volunteers. And I got really good at convincing people to volunteer and then putting them in the right slot so we could take advantage of their strengths and kind of work around their weaknesses. Which if anyone's been in the position of working with volunteers, I think you know that sometimes you have people who don't like know their own strengths and they volunteer for things they're not good at. And it takes a lot of, you have to be very gentle, right? To get them to not gum everything up. I've also run aid stations for Ironman races where not only do I have to recruit and manage all the volunteers, but the volunteers are handing out nutrition to like 2,000 to 3,000 outlets, so athletes. So it's a big deal. I think that's it pretty much. Oh, I would say also I've learned over the years how to organize things so people can help me, and then I'm not doing everything myself because I'm not organized enough to have jobs for people.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. All right, let's see if Annie, you would be next. Let's see if they are ready.
Right, my internet currently is working. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can everybody else hear Annie? Go ahead, Annie, if you can.
Great, yes. So I would say the most unique thing about me is that I've done many different types of organizing in different kinds of spaces. For example, currently I'm on student government at Loney College, but I also organize for a navigation center here for everyone. I also organize to join the committee and then create an evidence fact-based report about SROs here at Fremont. I've organized electorally in next doors. I've talked to community members. I've organized statewide in California Young Democrats. And just recently, actually, because I'm on our Democratic Central Committee here, our County Democratic Central Committee, I wrote and then got a bylaws amendment passed that bans our local Democratic County Party from endorsing homelessness. And all of these experiences have taught me many different types of organizing skills, from whipping votes to talking with people that might not agree with me, to talking to community members, to creating scheduled meetings. And so I can bring all of these unique and diverse experiences and skills that I've practiced to Fremont for Everyone, which will help me be really dynamic in running our organization and help me think about different kinds of strategies that can work, because I've seen different skills and strategies employed in different contexts. And I would love to employ that for the benefit of the community here in Fremont, specifically the Fremont for Everyone.
Okay, thank you. I got a coughing fit there. All right, Catherine Ruby, you're next for question number 3.
Okay, so I think I have a lot of skills that I have to offer. One is that I have personal experience, having been on the side of Well, I've been a homeowner, a renter, and I've been homeless. So I've been through all of it. I have knowledge about how the system is working and failing because it's not actually working. And our system is not designed to prevent homelessness. It is, in fact, encouraging homelessness. I can't tell you how many times when we were reaching out for help that organizations, agencies, charities all said, call back when you're homeless. That's pretty sad when we have to wait for somebody to become homeless before we're willing to do any outreach. I feel like I have excellent communication skills, both verbally and written. I am very good at persuading people. I'm a very good team player. I know how to work well with others. And I'm not married to a specific idea so much that I'm not willing to consider other options or other ideas. I'm actually quite open-minded and love to hear input from other people and incorporate those ideas into my own, or to even switch gears altogether if I feel like someone else's idea is better than my own. I do have a desire to learn and grow as a person. And this is my personal mission in life. I feel like this is what I'm here to do. And I'm very active in every way that I can be. I'm very outspoken on this issue. And I attend every meeting that I can think of to promote keeping people housed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, after Catherine, we have Hayes. And before we go to Hayes, I just want to remind everybody in the audience that we will be taking, if you have time for a Q&A afterwards, if you want to post a question in the chat. Okay, Hayes, go ahead.
Thank you, Linda. So unique skills and knowledge. I'm currently a licensed and practicing architect. For some of you may know this, but I'm also in land development as well. So I have a little bit of that public policy, political land use policy experience. I also know how to lay out a building and resolve a site. And I think that's kind of my special skills. I've come into housing from like an applicant's point of view. I kind of know what levers can be manipulated to get a better product. If you're asking for more affordable housing, I know kind of what questions to ask that would generate a favorable or not favorable outcome. I think that the combination of those two specialties gives me a little bit of an insider look at the whole land use planning and development process. Secondly, I also have a little bit of teaching experience. I currently work with this group called Urban Land Institute based in San Francisco. They run a program called Urban Plan, which is directed to high school students. Basically, it gives them a theoretical city. They have to kind of counterbalance neighborhood opposition with finances, with politics, and with decision makers. And they give this presentation in front of city council. So I'm a coach for that. I do it pretty regularly. And so that's a little bit of the educational background. I love that. I love engaging people in education whenever I have the chance. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I'll relinquish the rest of my time.
All right, thank you so much. All right, after Hayes is Vinita Verma.
Thank you, Linda. I think those of you who know me, I am a PTA person, so I will bring the PTA perspective to things, nonprofit things. So running a nonprofit is not same as running a for-profit business. For example, nonprofits have their own challenges, and being a long-time volunteer or lifelong volunteer, I know that volunteerism is going down. So volunteerism is a challenge in every organization right now. I can hone on to what I have learned over the past years and bring that knowledge to the organization. Along with that, I should also say that I'm a fierce and skilled advocate, visionary, and planner. I've successfully advocated for many things, including many in Fremont itself. So, and I am very much linked with reality and the people who are lawmakers and decision makers. I think that is something that we all need to know, that we can be advocate, but we need decision makers to be on our side. If we cannot advocate to them, no matter what dreams we have, they will not go beyond our dreams. So that is something that I really would like to bring in. And then as I said, I'm a planner. I have a vision, and I see things slightly different from others. I see things based on the community that we live in. I can see the challenges that what we are going to face, and that thing has been really helpful for me to maneuver the issues that we have faced in past few years. Thank you.
You think I'd have the knack, had this down to a science by now, but no. Okay, and our final candidate to answer this question is Paul Webster.
Hello. So before Renegade was formed, I was a part of this club called the Sustainability Club. And what that club talked about was making a sustainable platform. And it brought me many skills that I'm still like applying to this day within Renegade. And pretty much like what it emphasizes is the three E's, like economics, ethics, and environment. And so pretty much like everything I learned from that club, I applied it to Renegade, and ever since it's been growing. And pretty much like I have organizing skills. I've been organizing Renegade for the last like 2.5 years, and it's been going smooth. I know how to work with volunteers. I've organized prep and / feeding events with volunteers. I always enjoy like that company of working with people and basically making an idea for them and formulating it and putting it out there and pretty much bringing more love to the community. Another idea or another skill I have is transparency amongst the unhoused community to the general like public. Since we go out into these encampments, I like talk with like a lot of unhoused individuals, so I know their needs and what they actually need. We have like a really deep relationship with them actually, because like we've been going to the encampments for 2.5 years. We know everyone by name. We hear everything that they go through. So just having that connection is like a really like important thing for this change. So that's another skill I have, is that transparency. Also, Renegade has like many ideas that we'd like to bring to the community and for it to be applied, such as like potential like housing ideas. Some of our members are designers, so we've talked about that, and it would be amazing to like apply it. And pretty much overall, my skills are organizing and communication and spreading love. So.
Great, perfect, thank you. Okay, so that concludes our 3 pre-established questions. We have one question in the chat. So again, how we're going to do this is I'm going to read the question, and then if you want to respond, please use the reactions button down at the bottom and raise your hand, and I will call on people in the order in which they were received, which means I have to open my participants thing. Okay, so the question is in regard to the disparity in the kind of affordable housing and luxury housing that is built in our area. The specific question is, what will you do to promote building more affordable housing and public housing better matched to Fremont median incomes and below, as opposed to more luxury development matched to commuting Google, Facebook, Apple, medium incomes and above? So who would like to answer that question? Okay. Okay, all right. Well, let's start. It looks like Hayes was the first one to raise his hand. So we'll do Hayes and then Annie.
Linda, I think Catherine was raising her hand visually, so you may not have seen.
Oh, I can
make sure
see
you
that.
get her too. Okay.
All right, I will get that. Okay. So Annie, are you there? Let's see if they can get back on. Yanni?
Back all the way over here. It's just a matter of getting it.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Great. Yeah, so we've seen that trickle down doesn't work in economics, thanks Reagan, or housing. We've tried that, and if it works, nobody should be homeless. There's many a study that says that when we build luxury housing, home prices go up, it generates the need for affordable housing, which makes sense when you think about it, because think about the kinds of things that richer residents in luxury homes want to do. Here in Fremont, at least, we're over on our RHNA numbers. That's RHNA, for Regional Housing Needs Allocation. Yes? Is there a technical problem?
No, we can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. Sorry. RHNA, Original Housing Needs Allocation numbers for above market rate and market rate housing. Basically, that means we've built more expensive housing than the experts and the planners say we need in Fremont. And not surprisingly, we're under a low and very low income housing, meaning we've not built enough affordable housing in our community. So as I previously said, I don't support and am fiercely opposed to the idea that all we need to do is build more housing no matter the cost, and that'll fix the housing shortage. It won't, because if people can't afford the homes we build, that's not a help at all. In fact, it might be a gentrification depending on local context. So I will urge Fremont for everyone to never support commitments based on that principle.
Okay, thank you. Now, I think the next person was Hayes, but Hayes, because you're I'm not sure. Do you think you were next?
Doesn't matter. It's one of us.
I know. You got a little. Go ahead and go. And then
Yeah.
After Hayes, then Lisa, and then David.
Yeah, I think that, I want to, build on this idea that we do have a lot of ability to influence what gets built in our neighborhoods. One thing that we have to keep in mind is financing gap considerations, right? I have a project right now, which, I thought I was actually targeting at a moderate, like the missing middle out in South San Francisco. And, when you look at the cost of housing versus the cost to provide the housing versus the cost you recover, that one's a bit barely eking by. And even though we're targeting at 1.2, 1.3 million, which a lot of people would not say is affordable at all. What I would say too is that how can you afford right now? Public funding is out there for affordable housing, but it's only available to really big developers. Like you have to be building 200 units and above to kind of win that funding. I'm wondering how we can actually incentivize the smaller builder. I've tried to look for affordable housing building opportunities. I just couldn't get the bridge financing to do so because I'm not as big of a fish as say Eden Housing or Mercy or something like that. So I think I would look into kind of ways that we can incentivize that, potentially by reducing impact fees on other aspects of those units, or maybe dedicating more density. The other idea is the idea of an affordable housing overlay in the city that designates a certain kind of percentage in an area, maybe that's has a different land use altogether to incentivize a land swap value flip. That's it.
Great. Okay, thanks. Okay, Lisa, and then Vinita. No, I'm sorry. Lisa and then David, right? Sorry. Lisa and then David.
Okay, I have a few ideas and I'm definitely open to others on this one. I think one of the big ones is trying to get more money available for public housing. I know that our very own Assemblymember Alex Lee put a bill out for that got kind of stalled to next year. So I think it would make sense for us to look into supporting that. And I also think that yes, it's true that building just a bit of luxury housing makes things worse. But I think part of the problem is we're just not building enough housing for everybody who lives here. So if we have so much housing that there's actually more housing than people, then the prices would go down. And I'm not saying that that's, well, yeah, we do ultimately need to get there because there is a vacancy rate. And I think that also incentives for developers to build more naturally affordable housing has to be an important part of it, especially because I don't think it's realistic to get public funding for everything as prices go up. So that means things like what they've currently just updated the impact fees so that if you're building a naturally affordable unit, you're going to pay less of an impact fee. So I think that sort of thing is smart.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. All right, David, and then I know that Vinita has to leave, so we'll do Vinita and then we'll do Catherine.
Say 1 minute or two?
Yeah, 1 minute or
1 minute,
less.
okay, be quick.
1 minute or
Brian,
less.
this is a great question, too much for 1 minute. If you zone it, you will build it. We got to look at zoning. Okay, so when you see these single family developments we've approved in Fremont, because it was exclusionary single family, as Hayes mentioned, in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and in Berkeley, we're looking at an affordable housing overlay. We could do that in very targeted ways in Fremont. I was an advocate for eliminating impact fees for affordable housing. We're too beholden to impact fees in the city of Fremont. Right now, a unit costs $700,000 a unit to build affordable housing. A lot of that's impact fees that are built into it. We don't have enough funding that we get from impact fees from market rate developers, but they have been the main source for our affordable housing projects in the private sector. I certainly support public housing and more public housing dollars or public dollars to fund private development, but you need to zone it first. And then you have the state coming in with SB 9 and SB 10. SB 10 allows the local council authority for local control to upzone areas wherever. We're entirely in an urban transit area, the whole city, but that takes a majority on this council. Do you think this council is going to support it? No, they're going to run far, far away. They actually oppose both SB 9 and SB 10. So we got a lot of work with our local city council and reframing it. They talk a good talk in the campaign trail, but they don't act. So we need to push them.
All right, thank you, David. Okay, Vinita and then Catherine.
Thank you, Linda. Of all the people, I'm talking after David. He took all the talking points. So I think I don't have much to add other than I have to agree that everybody, all of you are 100% to the point. These are all the things that we need. We definitely need more advocacy. We have to keep on pushing. We have to push our lawmakers to create more bills and more laws for us to build more affordable housing. The other thing I would say is that we really seriously do need to push the developers to have a price cap, because they don't have a price cap. Even though they are calling it affordable housing, it's not affordable anymore. If we say that, oh, you're holding the sign upside down.
Sorry.
Even if we are calling them affordable housing and we are charging 750,000, they are not affordable anymore. So there should be a price cap on affordable housing. Thank you. And Catherine, I know you had been waiting for too long. So
yeah. Okay, thank you. So Catherine and then Paul.
Okay.
Well, sorry, Catherine and then Marie. I missed you. Catherine and then Marie.
All right. So again, the 1 minute's just not enough time to answer this question. So I will hit as many points as I can. I don't like the fact that we are building luxury housing because we have already so much of this. 2,000 and 3,000 square feet homes is ridiculous because it just takes up a lot of land space. We are running out of land space, and this luxury housing is now taking up some of our green spaces, and some of those are not in good locations. Newark is an example of that, where they were taking over land that was supposed to be designated for marsh. I can't think of it, but it was supposed to be designated for, okay, I just lost my thought. Anyway, it was not a good area to build because it's a potential flood zone. Multi-unit housing should be encouraged. New Park Mall is a good example of this. They're adding housing, multi-level housing to the New Park Mall, which would also reduce transportation costs for shopping and possible jobs. And just one more point real quick. I think zoning has to be reconsidered for property owners so that they can build, things like duplexes and triplexes, so that they don't have to be bound to single family homes.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, now Marie and then Paul.
So I don't have a lot to say about this, but I just want to say that it's pretty clear to me that the free market discourages affordable housing, not encourages it. And that's why I think the answer has to be legislation, zoning, and those sort of things. Because if you just let people do what they want, they're going to build expensive houses. That's how they make money. And also, I think we need to sort of get people on board with the idea of density. I grew up on the East Coast, and starter homes were like duplexes, row homes, and they were great places to grow up. They were not horrible. Yet there's some people who think that townhomes and condos and duplexes are like horrible things that ruin neighborhoods. So I think we just need to change the culture around that. So.
All right, thank you. Sorry, I lost my own picture and I couldn't tell where I was holding the sign up or not. Oh, sorry. Okay, and Paul.
Hello. So Lisa, thinking about like a public policy that goes towards public funding, so advocating for something like that. And also last year and this year, like the military budget spent over $700 billion. It would only take 5% of that to end homelessness in America. So I would like to advocate for like less spent money on military budget. And that's like a more macro level. That's something that's big. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so now everybody need to put your hands down because this question is done. And we do have one more question. Do we have time? Do you guys want to stay on at 6:48? Or I can tell you this question and then you could go to the Fremont for Everyone Facebook page and write your answer.
I'm all right to stay if other people are.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you to try to stay within 30 seconds. And if you have to go to a minute, that's okay, but try to stay within 30 seconds. So the question is, how do you propose to improve our current resource centers for preventing homelessness? Okay, so does anyone have an answer for that? How do you propose to improve our current resource centers for preventing homelessness? Okay, and my first person to raise their hand was Paul. So go ahead, Paul.
Hello. So one thing I noticed, like, this is not like a housing project, but it's something that helps out. So like when the hygiene unit started at the Discovery Church, like nearly a year and a half ago, one thing I noticed that like where the hygiene unit would go, there was like some resources with the hygiene unit, but one thing I noticed was like a lot of people actually started like applying assistance towards those resources. So it gave like more like basically like more like stuff for people to like grab onto and like have when they go there. For example, like there was a Lisa that gave haircuts. There's other stuff. So it's like how like think of ways of like how we could apply this to like other stuff too as well.
Okay. All right, thank you. And next we have, after Paul, we have Vinita and then Marie.
Thank you, Sandra, for asking. Thank you, Sandra, for asking this question. This was one of the things that I missed and when I was talking about it. I think we need to do more for fundraiser. We need to do fundraising and have a available hotline for prevention of homelessness. As I had mentioned in my statement, I really believe that we have to be more proactive than not. We have to proactively prevent people from becoming homeless, have the hotline available, and have the funds available. If somebody needs help, we can all pitch in and help that particular family or person from becoming homeless. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Marie and then Catherine.
So I would just say more money, more money, more money. And we spend 50% of the city budget on the police. If anyone's ever been in a traffic accident there, the next thing you know, you've got 4 police cars and 7 police officers. We don't need to be spending that kind of money. I think we can move it to services. The Human Services Department is extremely underfunded. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, after me, Catherine, and then David.
Okay, so one of the things that I noticed is that there's a lot of redundancy between several organizations, agencies, and charities. And what I'd like to do is eliminate the redundancies and start filling in the gaps that are currently not being served that need to be served. So I would like to just kind of streamline everything so that, you know, everywhere you go, there's always a resource and you're not running into the same problems over and over again. The other thing is that I would like all of these organizations, agencies, and charities to talk to each other, because when you say, I can't help you, but maybe so-and-so can, it sets up a system where there's no communication, no working together, and that becomes a problem. And to reduce red tape, there is so much politics and rules and stuff around getting help, and that just really needs to be reduced.
All right. Thank you, Catherine. David, and then Annie.
Thank you, Linda. Very quickly, this is an engagement opportunity. It starts from the top at the city council level, where we have to have a mindset at the council level to identify and envision a project and then identify the funding, not the other way around. We need to engage our Human Relations Commission. I was thinking family resource centers, Sandra, with your question. One major idea that we really need to talk about that Catherine talked about earlier, you deal with people before they become unhoused permanently. And both services was a vanguard of having the concept of rapid rehousing, where when you have people that are vulnerable, they need rental assistance, you work with them to find immediate housing so that they don't become part of the permanent unhoused in our community. We need more supportive services, right, for our people that are in our RVs right now. We need to lease property for our RVs. Those are my objectives in resourcing the need that we have in Fremont. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And now, Annie.
I have well, 2 main points. The first being, I understand that at least the Housing Navigation Center is quite effective and successful. So I'd advocate for improving our resource centers by building more of them. Another navigation center, maybe specifically targeted at couples or families, and just more beds, more support of models that we've seen are effective, especially housing first models. So first, I'd advocate building more navigation centers. And two, as many people who spoke before me have said, I think we need to think systemically about what causes homelessness, from lack of jobs to low wages to addiction to medical emergency, and consider addressing all of these issues as homelessness prevention so we can prevent people from becoming unhoused in the first place. And hopefully we can pair with the county or the state or maybe the federal government, depending on where the dollars are exactly for what, to give all or more of these resources to our community members. So Fremont for Everyone should advocate for more and more diverse types of resources like our Housing Navigation Center, and also be advocating for these systemic solutions to prevent people from becoming unhoused. And I think that will better our resources in Fremont.
Great, thank you, Annie. Okay, so we are at 6:55. I know we got a little bit of a late start, so I really appreciate that everybody was able to stick around. I know a lot of us have another meeting to go to shortly. I am going to encourage all of you candidates, go to our Facebook page and answer some of these questions again, or come out if you've got some other questions that you think people are interested in, do talk about it. I think the voting continues for a week. You're voting, you're able to vote until the 23rd. So please make sure that you encourage other people in our group to vote. I know, like someone mentioned earlier, there's over 600 people in our group. And so we should have a lot of people voting. And thank you, everybody. So thank you to David Bonacorsey, Lisa Danz, Marie Hughes, Annie Karuka, Catherine Ruby, Hayes Scher, Vinita Verma, and Paul Webster for participating. And I thank you guys for running, because that's a brave thing to do.